far as asking questions through chat or anything like that?
Yeah, there's if you guys can pay attention to your webinar pane, and next to your name there's a hand and there's a question mark. If you've never attended any webinars before, you can go ahead and click on that question mark, and a dialog box will open up, and you can go ahead and key in your question, and we'll read off your question at that moment so that Dawn can answer your question as it pertains to the current slide that she's on. If you raise your hand, we can attempt to unmute your line so that you can speak live. Sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't, depending on your audio setup. So I think we'd prefer if you just clicked on that question mark button and indicated your question in text. That way we make sure we get your question and we will announce it, and Dawn or Tom will answer your question. So Dawn, would you like to get started?
Absolutely, I think we should. So Adrian, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to work with you on this fun little project here. We really appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for your interest in learning about Acumatica. And we've put together a title that's kind of a tall order. I'm sure we won't be able to cover every single thing that you want to know about Acumatica, but we're going to do a darn good job of trying to get to most of the pertinent topics that might be top of mind for you. So between Tom and myself, what we plan to do is actually cover a number of things for you today. What I'm going to start with is, why should you be interested in joining the cloud now? Why select an ERP solution that's cloud-based at this particular point in time? Then we'll cover a little bit about Acumatica's history, our target markets, the positioning of the product. We'll also talk about some of the things that we feel and our partners feel are very key competitive advantages in the product. Then, since we do pricing differently, we don't price by user. And since that's quite different from other vendors, I thought I'd run through a couple scenarios and give you some examples of our pricing so you have an appreciation for how that's done. Then we'll go on and look at some of the advantages of our partner program, because that's unique as well. And then I thought a look at the road ahead and some of the innovations that we have coming might be appropriate as well. And then, of course, what everybody is probably waiting for is a high-level demo so you can see what the product looks like and gain an appreciation there as well. So with that, I thought I'd start right here, because this is, why should you be interested in the cloud now? And as you might have noticed over the last few years, if we look back to 2013, there's been this phenomenon called the cloud, where companies have started to embrace putting business applications in the cloud. So the first one to get adopted was really CRM. So you look at the adoption rate now, we're at about 90% adoption rate, and there's still some room for growth there over the next couple of years. Now, the next business application that was embraced, like CRM, happened to be HR solutions. So as you can see now in 2016, there's over 60% adoption rate for HR. But then the next question obviously is, where are we with ERP? And I want to assure all of you that might have seen your, let's say, Dynamics or your Sage or Infor counterparts embracing a cloud solution and bringing it into their product portfolio. If you've looked at that and seen it and thought, oh gosh, I wonder if we're getting into this too late, or if I've missed the curve, I'm here to tell you, no, you have not. So here's the line for ERP. In 2016, we've got about a 10% adoption rate, and in the next 2 years, that's projected to go up to about 70%. So the acceleration in the market, this hockey stick effect, is taking place right now, so you're not too late by any stretch of the imagination. So with that as a backdrop, hopefully that'll convince you that what we're going to cover in the next 30, 40 minutes or so should be important and something for you to consider. So I'd start here with a little bit of history about Acumatica. We've been around since 2008. We developed our product from scratch, and right now we're a global company with thousands of customers, literally. We have over 150 employees, and those are all dedicated to our partners. And it seems like there's not a week that goes by that we don't see at least an announcement or two of a new hire. So I'll point out we are a Seattle, Washington-based company. We have another office in McLean, Virginia. We have development in Moscow, and we've opened a new development center in Montreal, Canada. And we've also opened a support center in Columbus, Ohio. This has been predicated on all the phenomenal growth that we've had, which has been, if you look at 2014 versus 2015, in 2015, we virtually doubled our revenue in 1 year. Our SaaS revenue grew by 134%. And we've had another really nice accomplishment, which is when you look at the OEM agreements that we have with companies. I'll take a step back. Many of you, I'm sure, are representing a Sage product or a Dynamics product or similar competitor. And I think many of you have probably experienced that, you know, there's one thing to take a legacy product and move it to the cloud by hosting it in a hosting facility and coming up with a pricing scenario that is a subscription. That's one thing. It's an entirely different thing to take a blank sheet of paper and develop a true cloud solution, browser-based cloud solution from scratch. That's what we did. We have no legacy product. It's 100% Acumatica from the ground up. Now, there are companies like Aseo in Canada with 60,000 customers, or Visma in the Nordic region with 350,000 customers, or MYOB in Australia and New Zealand with over 1.2 million customers that had legacy products, and they wanted to get to the cloud rapidly. So they had a make or buy decision. Do we make it from scratch and take all that time, or do we search for the best possible platform and product to base our next generation product on? And we're very pleased to say that all three of those companies have Acumatica as their core and their next generation solution that they're selling and will migrate their customers to. I point that out because it speaks to how well funded we are, not only by our founders and other VC firms, but these OEM partnerships are 10 and 15-year contracts that are multi-million-dollar contracts in each case. So that gives us the ability to continue to invest in R&D and innovate with our product, which is what you would be representing as a partner. So I think it's a worthy point. The other thing is, if you're going to stay viable in the market today with a cloud solution, as we talked about, CRM and benefits and BI and other applications are already firmly in the cloud. So to really be a player, you have to have a cloud solution that can integrate with other clouds and then offer, in essence, kind of a best of breed solution. So that's where we are today. We are truly a 21st century ERP platform for our partners to leverage. Now, if you look at where we're positioned, I think some people think, okay, well, where is Acumatica? Is it on the low end? Is it on the high end? We are focused right smack dab in the mid-market space for small to medium-sized enterprises. We're not getting confused and trying to go compete with the SAP and Oracles of the world, and we're not trying to be QuickBooks or come out with some new product for a very small customer. Hopefully this is the segment where you all feel very comfortable, because it represents over 1 million companies and about 11 billion in market opportunity. So if you look at some of our cloud competitors, for instance, Intact is primarily a financial services kind of solution, financials, core financials, not an ERP solution. If you look at NetSuite, they are an ERP solution, but like Sage with the X3 product and like Microsoft with Dynamics AX, they continue to push higher up into that enterprise space. And although we can play there, and we do have some Fortune, publicly traded companies with over $1 billion in revenue, where we focus is the $10 million to $500 million customer. So if you feel comfortable in that space, that's exactly where we fit. And you've probably noticed a lot of brand momentum. So thank you for joining this, because that's probably one of the reasons you wanted to learn more about Acumatica. Hopefully you're seeing it more, you're hearing more about it. I had one competitor or partner join us just last week, and he said, I was tired of losing to you. And he said, I knew we needed a cloud solution. So that's exactly what we're bringing to the table. A lot of momentum, a lot of brand recognition, and certainly continuing to head in the right direction with that. Now, if we look at the top 5 competitive differentiators, there are quite a few, but I wanted to limit it to 5. So we mentioned before, we are a true, complete cloud, developed for the cloud, browser-based ERP solution that's actually mobile as well. So when you take Acumatica and you log into a browser, if you're on a phone, it'll size for your phone. If you're on a tablet, it'll size automatically for the tablet. It's truly a ground-up cloud solution for you. The other thing that sets us apart from our competitors is that we can be deployed in multiple ways. Our cloud competitors really can only be deployed one way, and it's their cloud. So we can deploy Acumatica in our cloud, which is the SaaS solution, but then we also have what's called PCS. It stands for Private Cloud Subscription, which means if your customer says, well, my cousin Fred has a hosting center, can I host it there? With Acumatica, you could say, yes, you can host it in any private or public cloud. And then we even have a third option, which is Private Cloud Perpetual, meaning you can install it on servers, on premises, so it can be contained within your customer's 4 walls if they have a particular security concern or some overwhelming reason that would cause them to want to do that. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. And as a partner, what you want to do is offer flexibility to your customers. If they may say, well, subscription, I keep hearing about that, and I've run the numbers, and even when I consider the cost of our IT group and our servers and so forth, I think 7, 8 years down the road, we might be better off if we purchased it. Can we do that? And with Acumatica, here again, you have options, and you could say, well, sure. If you want to invest in it, you can buy it up front and pay 18% annual maintenance, as you would in a regular situation that you may have now with a traditional product. So those 2 things give you ultimate flexibility. And then on top of that, we don't price by user. It's more of a consumption model, or how robust does the system have to be that's going to support the infrastructure for their deployment. We'll get into that in a bit in the pricing section. And last but not least, of the things I wanted to point out, we also have a great development platform. So we use .NET, we use C#, we developed our XRP platform, and any partner that comes aboard gets free access to that platform. So you can continue to develop if you'd like. For those of you that have development resources, you can do one-off customizations, you could do integrations, modifications, you could even develop an application for a vertical market. And we give you access to source code. I don't know of any other vendor at this point that gives partners access to source code. So with that, we should take a look at the stack. We talked a bit about the platform. So as a partner, you would gain access to all these things that you see down on that bottom layer that we use to actually develop the product. We developed everything that you see in the gray boxes in the application suites. So we have a robust set of financials. We have distribution. We have our own CRM. We have our own project accounting. And I'll also point out things like we have fixed assets, and we also have our own payroll solution as well, along with document management and a number of other things that Tom's going to point out during the demo. In addition, we have companies like JOS. They built the manufacturing solution for Dynamics SL, and they wanted to get to the cloud. So what they did is they took our stack, they took our core product, and they wrote a manufacturing solution that is transparent to the end user if they're investing in manufacturing as well. So these integrated complementary solutions look identical to Acumatica. And as well, we also have the types of solutions that you're used to through, let's say, Fusion with the retail and POS solution, Avalara with tax and so forth. Those types of solutions are integrated as well. And I thought I'd give you a look at some of these, so you'll also have a level of comfort knowing that many of our solutions that are ISV solutions are those that you might be used to when you look at JDB or let's say Mapadoc or APS or Century, BizNet, Solver, and so forth. Those things would look familiar to you, I would imagine. In addition then, if we get into the pricing, now this is where it's different. We have a pricing calculator that we give to all of our partners that will help you determine the size and how you should configure a solution. But what I took is 4 different scenarios. One is just straight standard financials. We have 3 types of financials: standard, advanced, and enterprise. So the next example takes advanced financials, advanced distribution, and adds a portal. The third one adds financials, distribution, manufacturing, and WMS. And the last one is an enterprise financials implementation with a sandbox and including support from Acumatica. So now we'll get into the sizing discussion. We have sizes: small, medium, large, and extra large. Very easy to remember. And I'll point out that 80 to 90% of our entire customer base falls within the small sizing category. In general, that's good for up to 25 full-time concurrent users of the software that are using it all day long, and a limited number of occasional users. So if you've got somebody that's using it for CRM, they're out in the field and they just want to check on a price, or they want to place an order or check on a customer's order, that's an occasional user. You don't even have to count that as a user in this sizing example, because those users, you just add them, they're free of charge. And what it does is it allows you as a partner to find every possible way to get Acumatica within your customer organization and useful to that customer. It also creates stickiness, which of course is the end goal when you're selling a subscription product. You want the customer to have it all throughout their organization. You want it to be very sticky. You want them to renew their subscription. So if we look at medium, medium pretty much exactly doubles it. So that would be about up to 50 users, unlimited occasional users, and about 200 transactions per hour. And large would double that yet again. So with those as scenarios, now if I were to overlay the prices, what you'll see is that Acumatica is a very affordable solution in a SaaS environment. So these amounts are annual amounts that your customer would pay up front, and it would be hosted, and we would have the SLA guaranteeing like a 99.5% uptime. Now, if they didn't want to have it hosted via Acumatica, that's where our private cloud subscription model comes in, and the pricing drops, as you would imagine, because you will help your customer decide where they want to host it elsewhere. And then the third example would be what you're most used to now, perhaps, which would be selling a license. So what you see in this, what you see in this last column is what they would pay as a one-time investment. And then on top of that, you would add an 18% annual maintenance. So that'll give you an idea of the pricing, and hopefully you find it attractive and in line with that mid-market segment that we're going after. And this will give you an example of the types of customers that are attracted to Acumatica and where our solution plays very well. So whether it's professional services, I know many of you in the Sage, let's say 100 and 500 world, manufacturing and distribution are very, very important. We also have retail, e-commerce, high-tech, software companies, telephone companies, and so forth. Then we've got another segment, not-for-profit, healthcare, government, and of course we do very well in food and beverage, travel and hospitality, and transportation. And these companies represent both private and publicly held companies that are using Acumatica. So if that looks like a good target market to you, then maybe you're thinking, well, that's in line with what I have interest in. What about the program? So the program, this is where we have a lot of differentiators as well. And I think what might be key to most people is that we're 100% channel model. We don't do any direct sales. We're not going to go directly to your customer and try to sell them, upsell or cross-sell, or sell them a support plan or anything like that. You truly are the reseller. You recognize all the top-line revenue. You turn around and place it, your order with Acumatica. You own the customer. So that's different from some of our competitors, for sure. The other thing is, this might be music to your ears, I hope. We don't believe in fees. So you won't have an initiation fee if you join the partner channel. You won't have any annual fees to maintain your partnership status. And a third thing that's really a differentiator is that we don't charge for online support. That's free of charge through the partner portal. Much of the testing is out there as well. You can purely work through a badge, earn that badge, take your test, pass it, download the certificate, and go on to the next training course. So we've tried to make it simple, and so you don't have to fly people all over the country in order to get them trained on your new product. We also have a very robust enablement program as well. On top of that, we have generous margins, and they're not based on revenue. So they start out at 40%, and it's purely based on the number of net new deals that you do. If you do 2 deals a year, you can maintain that entry-level margin. So it's not daunting, it's easy to move up to other margin levels, and we're really pretty happy that we've given you a really simplistic and easy to use program. And then we also offer, our biggest thing is we want to make sure that you get off to a great start, that you have a happy, satisfied first customer. And if you choose, you can outsource some or all of your first few implementations to Acumatica if you'd like, so you can shadow us and then gain that first happy, satisfied customer. So with those as differentiators, I thought what I'd do just very briefly before turning it over to Tom is touch on the road ahead, but I think what's an indicator of where we're going ahead is to just briefly take a look at what we've recently done. I know some of you are working with vendors that really haven't done a lot of innovation for quite a while, and especially when you're selling a maintenance program or it's a SaaS solution, your customers are expecting your vendor to keep the product updated and add functionality that's useful to them and justifies their maintenance fee. So just in less than a year, all these things that you see listed have been added to our product, along with 12 new mobile apps that we've developed as well. So that's where we've been, and briefly where we're going in 2016. Here are some of the features and deliverables that we've decided to enhance in the product as well. So any of our partners, of course, you'd gain access to all of this. So in a nutshell, what we've covered is why should you be interested in embracing the cloud now and bringing in a cloud ERP solution. We've talked about our company, the target markets, and positioning. So if that looks good, then as a partner, you would really be able to leverage not only the competitive advantages that we have in a product, but also in our program. And the pricing is actually very, very competitive, and compared to, let's say, one of our chief competitors, it's actually quite affordable as well. And we've briefly looked at the road ahead. So what we're going to do now is take a look at the product demo. Adrian, have there been any questions that you think we should answer first before getting in the demo?
There is one question, Don. So as far as all those third-party products that you mentioned integrating with Acumatica, how easy is it to install them?
That's a great question. So the products, you know, they're similar, I would say, to some of the products that you may be used to now. But one of the things we want to make sure is that our cloud is talking well to other clouds. You'll know from the ISV solution whether it's been developed for Acumatica or whether it's a product that's been integrated with Acumatica. We also have a methodology for our ISVs to test their solutions with Acumatica, and we'll actually put our stamp of approval on it for those purposes. And I mentioned up at the beginning our development center that we opened up in Montreal. That specifically is to do just to answer the question that you just put out there, which is, how do you make sure these ISV solutions work well together? So our dev center in Montreal is doing just that. It's taking the core product, it's testing the most popular ISV solutions, not Acumatica, but with each other. So let's say when you combined let's say the JOS manufacturing solution with Fusion, POS and retail, and WMS. Do those work well together? That's what that development center is designed to do, to give you even more peace of mind as a partner that these things work well together. And if you develop something, you can put your product through the same testing scenarios so that your product could be approved as well. So hopefully that helps to answer that question.
And I'm not seeing any, oh, we do have another question here. Let's see. How many companies are on Acumatica? How many installations do you already have? Thank you, Joshua.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to answer that question. So we can say thousands. We have over 2,000 customers now. So and like that hockey stick effect that I showed you on one of the very first slides, how ERP in the cloud is taking off, that looks exactly like the graph that we're tracking right now with Acumatica. So I'll give you an example. In just a little over a year, the number of customers that we had doubled as well. So we're absolutely on a huge growth trajectory, and we're happy that we do have thousands of customers. I can't tell you how many users that would be, because as you now know, we don't track users, but those are over 2,000 individual companies using the product.
And are those manufacturing companies, warehouse management companies, retail companies, e-commerce companies? Are they all across the board?
Yep, it's all of the above. On the slide where I showed the types of customer segments that we play in, it's service companies, distribution, manufacturing, retail, hospitality, not-for-profit, government, and so forth. So this product, because of the core and how it can be extended, and the ISV solutions, it makes it attractive to a very wide and diverse group of customers that you can then address.
And we have another question here, Don. Thank you, Bill. Is 40% margin based on annual recurring subscription?
It is based predominantly on the number of new deals that you do, but I'll give you a good example. The answer to your question is also yes. So let's say you come aboard as a partner and you do 2 deals in your first year. And let's say one of those first deals was a subscription customer. Next year, as long as that one subscription customer renews and you do 1 new deal, that qualifies you for maintaining that margin level. So in essence, yes, once you get past your first year and you actually have customers that are renewing with you, a portion of those help go toward your margin levels. So yes.
And hopefully that clarifies your question, Bill. I'm hearing a little echo when I'm speaking, so I'm going to mute myself for Tom's demonstration. I'm not seeing any other questions at this time, Don, so should we go ahead and let Tom get started? We have his screen.
Let's do that. Let's do that. And I'll put myself on mute temporarily too so we don't get any echo. So Tom, thank you so much for joining me today, and over to you. Tom, are you there? Tom?
Are you able to hear me now?
Oh yeah, much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. So what I'd like to do in the time remaining for this afternoon's session is start off with just a very quick little overview to give everyone an idea of what makes up Acumatica. Then what I'd like to do is kind of highlight some of the places where we're able to add value to our customers, and that would be, where can we help them grow their businesses with the functionality and the technology that the product provides to us. So that's what I'm going to focus on during today's session, and it's only going to be about a 20 or 25-minute demo. So if there's an area of the software that we don't cover today, please contact and reach out to Dawn, and she can schedule a private session where we can kind of go into exactly the area that you want to touch on that I didn't touch on today. So today's session, quick overview of just what makes up Acumatica, and then the second part of the demo is really going to be made up of the features and functionality of where we can add value to our customers, because it's always been my experience that just showing a lot of whiz-bang features is nice, but if the customers can't take advantage of them in their daily routines, then we're really missing the boat. So these functions are things that I believe that most of our customers would be able to take advantage of. So why don't we go ahead and get started? So when we first log into Acumatica, each user, we can actually point them to a specific screen or dashboard or report where that person would like to go. So as Dawn had mentioned, yes.
Tom, I'm sorry. Is there a way for you to expand your screen? Because I think we're not able, Adrian and I are not able at least to see it in full screen.
That looks much better.
Perfect, thank you. Sorry for the interruption, Tom.
Sure, so are you able to see it now? Better?
Yes, it looks great.
Okay, perfect. So as you first log in, each user is going to be, instead of just going into a main menu, we're actually going to be able to put them into just exactly what screen or dashboard that individual would like to get to, so they don't have to bounce around a lot. So again, how can we make it just a little bit easier for that individual user to take advantage of the software? Well, let's put them where they'd like to start. We do have role-based security that is going to make sure that when that person logs in, because again, everybody in the organization is going to log in now, that they only see those pieces of the application that they should see. We can actually even carry that a step farther and provide data level security, so if a sales rep logs in, they can only see their customers, for instance. So when you look at Acumatica, actually made up of a variety of different suites, and these suites, let's say the organizational suite is where we have our CRM, so that's where we're going to track leads and support cases and opportunities. Our finance, where we're going to have general ledger, so in GL, cash management or bank rec, payables, receivables. We do have fixed assets as a core application of our financial suite. So again, this is just one of those areas that we've already got something that you don't necessarily need one of those third parties, because we have one that does a very good job. We also provide a deferred revenue. So if you have support contracts and you bill it for the year, but you can only recognize revenue on a monthly basis, the deferred revenue module is perfect for you. We can set up sales taxes, and of course multi-currency. So you can have a base currency, and then you can have a customers in a different currency, vendors in a third currency. So again, full multi-currency capabilities in our finance suite. Our distribution suite, we have, inventory, sales orders, purchase orders, and purchase requisitions as well. So a full suite in the distribution area. So when we look at, as we said, when we first logged into Acumatica, we have these different dashboards that are available. And within Acumatica, those dashboards can be, typical of like grid information or graph information, but we can also tune that information specific to the user. So we can have a sales tasks dashboard that only displays my tasks. What do I have to follow up with? My sales opportunities, my sales leads. So Dawn logs in, she goes to sales tasks, she'd only see her tasks, her opportunities, her leads. We can also make these dashboards more of the educational, so we can put them in such a way where we're displaying a wiki, so we can go through a process. If that's what that person needs to see a lot of, great. Let's go ahead and make the wiki part of a dashboard. So a wide variety of different uses that we can have. We can even go so far as having YouTube videos launched as part of a dashboard. So dashboards to Acumatica mean more than just what I would call the traditional grid information or chart information. We can really make them a variety of different things throughout the application. Now, one other thing that, I've been doing a lot of ERP demos over the years for, quite frankly, a variety of different products, and access to information or finding information was always very critical to the customers that I demoed to. So within Acumatica, we literally have and I'll call it a Google search for Acumatica. So we can start typing in the name of, let's say, a customer, and we can search for that information in all entities, like in sales orders or in AR, but we could also type things in that would be specific to our help system. Or if we've done file attachments, maybe we want to find a customer's PO that was attached to our sales order. We can search the file attachments, we can search help, we can search the modules and the data itself. We'll do all entities here. So I was able to pull back all of this customer's invoices, and it would also include maybe their sales orders, the customer master file, even a contract available to them. So the more I typed in, just like in Google, the narrower the search. So very easy way to find transactions or data or just a particular customer. And again, the easier we can make the system to use, the more the system is going to be used, right? Now, because we're a browser-based application, what browser application would be true without having favorites? So in this case, I have a gold star at the far left corner of my screen, and when I click it, I can see my favorites. So this is basically my personal favorites list, or my main menu. These are the 3 tasks that I do a lot of, and I just wanted to make it that much easier to get to. So the favorites we're going to be able to take advantage of as well. So I'll just go ahead and click on my sales order, and this is the area of the demo now that I wanted to focus on some of the places that we can provide additional value back to our customers with functionality that most customers would be able to take advantage of. And that's what I wanted to focus on during the next part of the demo. So when we first click into the screen, basically it's going to be a very, regular looking screen. We have a header section, and then we have tabs for the different grid areas. Across the top, we have actions, which are very important. So based on this transaction, what actions can I take from it? What reports can I run from it? So very consistent user interface to be able to process these transactions or run reports that are specific to what I'm looking at right now. We can also attach header level notes, activities, and those file attachments that I just mentioned, in addition to having notifications like who do we want to notify, from this transaction. We can have those templated, so to speak, as well. So, and again, we can dive more deeper into sales order processing or purchase order processing at a later date, but here I just wanted to focus on just a few features. So I'm going to pull up a customer, so I can just type ahead, and it's going to pull up a list for me automatically. I can see the customer that I want, and I can just click return. I'm going to go ahead and click on my add stock item, and this is a feature that I have been asked for almost literally decades. Is when I'm typing or selling something to a customer, I want to be able to see all the items that this customer has bought from me, let's say in, not the last 3 months, that comes up automatically, but maybe in the last year. So here are all of the different items this customer has bought from me, along with the amounts that they've bought from me and the pricing they've bought, and in addition to that, when they bought them from me as well. So in essence, I was able to pull up a sales history report while I was in order entry. So if we're trying to add value to a customer, what's the easiest way to do that? Well, we could take a look at the sales history and we can see that, gee, you've bought what looks to be like 11 laptops from us over the years. Well, do you need any more of these laptops? Well, you know, as a matter of fact, yes, I do. I need 2 more of these. So we can add 2 to that order. Now I also see that you've bought some other equipment from us. Now we can try to do upselling, cross-selling based on the sales history I'm looking at as the customer service rep. So very easy for us to be able to see the history and then be able to make decisions from that history that, oh, by the way, I see that you bought this item. Maybe you need these other items as well. Or you bought this item, maybe you need some more of them. So how can we make this order bigger? And that's the value. So again, as we show this particular feature to distribution companies, as a matter of fact, they look at that and they see value. They see a feature they can actually have their people take advantage of. And that's very important. I'll just click Add and Close right now, and we'll add that line for the 2 laptops to the order. So this is also a multi-line select, so I could have added a number of different items to the order from that screen and just click once, add and close, add multiple lines at one time. So in addition to that one area, you know, one of the other areas that we can get frequently asked for is, well, can you take a credit card? And we can go over to payment settings, and the normal payment that this customer gets from us is a company check, but in this case they want to pay by credit card. So we'll go ahead and select a credit card option, and they don't really have a card on account, so we're going to make this a new card. Now the way we work is we would actually use a tokenized system through, let's say, an authorized.net or an American Payment Solutions or Century Business Link. We work with all of them. I'm connected to authorized.net in this particular environment. And what this is going to allow me to do is basically key in that credit card, but I'm not saving it in my database. I'm saving it, I'm sending it to authorized.net. They're sending me back a token. So I'm not storing the credit card, I'm saving the token, so I can use that token again maybe next week or the week after, but I'm only saving the token. So I'll go ahead and enter in the card number, and this is the card that Dawn gave me earlier today, so hopefully it's still good. We'll enter in an expiration date, the name on the card, Dawn J, and the CCV number. Now I can get an authorization directly from Acumatica. So what does that mean to the customer? Well, from the customer's perspective, or the total cost of ownership, I didn't need a third-party add-on to be able to get the authorization. I'm going to do that directly from within Acumatica. And I'll go ahead and click on the authorized payment, so hopefully Dawn's credit card has some room on it for the $1,000 order. And yes, it does. Thanks, Dawn. I could have also gotten a capture. So if you have a customer that does counter sales, where the customer, they walked up to the counter, they're taking the goods out, and they don't do a lot of counter sales, so they don't need a point of sale system, they do a couple a day. Having something like that to be able to capture that credit card immediately and capture the funds as opposed to an authorization and a capture later really just makes that transaction a little bit easier to do. So that's one area where we're able to provide a little extra value on a function that, you know, quite frankly, if you take credit cards, you'd be able to take advantage of. One of the other areas is in the area of shipping settings. And with that, I am able to shop for rates. So directly from within Acumatica, I'm able to shop for the rates to be able to pull back rates for UPS, USPS, and FedEx. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and do, well, let's just do FedEx Ground. I can see that it's going to be $28.90, and the package will get there on April 4th. And it's going to basically look like it's going to be in one medium box. So we'll click OK. So we've added that $28.90 to the order, and if we click over to the totals, that's been added to the order total, and you can see that I got my authorization for 1,000, so we still have an unpaid balance of $28.90. So we're able to keep everything straight. I could have gotten the authorization after I added the freight, and then it would have been included, of course. So that's just some of the base functions, that ability for credit cards, shopping for rates, being able to get that order history right from within Acumatica, directly from Acumatica during order entry, where we've been able to provide real value on functionality that most of our customers are actually able to take advantage of. One last thing that I want to do with that order is we've taken the order, we've gotten their credit card. Well, I may want to be able to now email that order to my customer, so I can email this transaction directly to the customer. And right now it's sending that email as we speak. It's over there spinning. When I get my green arrow, it means the operation was completed correctly. And now I can go over to that activities button and see the email that was just sent out to the customer with a copy of their order. So I can go ahead and double click on it. And of course, obviously the text is text that you're going to be able to type in. It's just a simple mail template that we're using. But attached to the email that's already been sent, we have a files, and we can see a 1 next to it. That means that when I click on that, that's the PDF copy of the order that went along with the email. And we're able to do that basically in 1 click. So again, you take an order, you want to send the order to the customer has it. And whenever we go back to this order, we can always see that there was an activity associated with that. So that's that built-in CRM now that we talked about, that we can see that we do have one activity tag to this transaction. So a lot of core functionality that we've made easy enough to use that our customers are actually able to take advantage of it and add that extra value to the organization. So that was one order, and I did want to process one more order to show you some additional functionality. So in this case, we're going to take our customer, our USA Bartending, and we'll just click OK. So it's very easy to add a new order. And in this case, we have an Uploads Records button. So here I'm going to load a record by importing it into a transaction. I'm going to show you just how easy that is. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to browse to it. So when I'm browsing to it, I'm just going to go over to my desktop and find my PO, and I'm going to upload it. So typically, in certain systems that I've worked with in the past, I'd have to bring in IT if I was a customer service rep to be able to import transactions into the system. But here, a customer sends an email, it's got a copy of a spreadsheet, it's got 50, 100, 200 lines on it, and rather than rekey that and run the risk of errors or sending the customer the wrong item or keying in the wrong quantities, we're going to be able to just import that in, but we're going to be able to do it as the customer service rep. We've made it that easy to do. So we'll just click OK on the first screen. And I've got 3 columns in this particular spreadsheet. Well, the first one looks like my item ID, so I'll just do the drop down and I'll find inventory ID. The next is the description. That looks pretty easy, so we'll just click into that field. And we'll do the drop down there, and we'll go over to line description. That looks easy enough. And then the last field looks like the quantity. Now, if I would have had headers on this, it would have found them automatically if I called it the same thing. I left it out of the spreadsheet just to be able to show you how easy it is to do in the worst possible scenario. So I'm able to bring in this very large spreadsheet of all of these items with all of these quantities, and I was able to bring it in without having to rekey it. So not only was I able to do it faster than if I rekeyed it, but I'm infinitely more accurate with that. So how can you really get killed in this business? Ship the customer the wrong item or in the wrong quantities. Great way for them to go to your competition if you're a distribution customer. So now we're going to be much more accurate with our orders. And again, we made the feature easy enough for our customer service reps to be able to take advantage of that. And then one last feature that I'd like to show is we've got that purchase order. Now I'd like to just attach that original spreadsheet to the order itself. So I'll just go ahead and drag it over to the form, and yep, I do want to attach it. And I'll just make my screen real quick bigger for a second. And now that it's attached, we're going to be able to see that file attachment. We've got the one next to it that says when anyone sees this particular order, they're going to know that we've made it a file attachment alongside of that. So in this order, we were able to upload from a spreadsheet and then attach the spreadsheet without really getting IT involved with it. So we made it easy enough to be able to take advantage of. So that's some of the functionality in our order where we can add value to our customer part, which is our integration with Power BI. So within Power BI, we're able to bring over dashboards from a variety of different services, and I'll just pull up one of them right now, that will allow you to bring that information from Acumatica out again to a mobile device. So within that, we're going to be able to show a variety of different dashboards that we have, whether they're coming from Acumatica data, they could be coming from Google Analytics, they could be coming from a wide variety of different data sources, different SQL databases, different marketing programs. So the idea is to bring our information into one area so that it's very easy to be able to pull up some specific information, whether it's sales or really anything, drill down on that information, find out what the particular customer is doing on a phone, on a mobile device, really even on my desktop. So a wide variety of different places that we can bring data into one area. And that's a little bit about what we can do with Power BI. And
awesome, Tom. I'm glad you had time to show that.
And I'll just go ahead and log into my mobile app. And within that, as we said, we can do expense reports, claims, approvals. We can take a look at our calendar, tasks, a large number of different things that we can do to look up our customers, and also go into our sales order entry. So within this, it's loading up my orders now if I wanted to edit an order, but I can also do a variety of different things. I can enter new orders in, and it's totally integrated back to the server that we just had. And that's really the true benefit of what we're able to do from that mobile, is to bring this application out into the field. How can we have a competitive advantage? We can empower our users to be able to be more mobile because, quite frankly, everybody's out in the field now. So we can go ahead and, start up a new order, and we'll just click our Add button to add a new order into the system. And within this, we're going to go ahead and scroll down to where it says our customer, and so we'll look up our different customers, and we'll just go ahead and select USA Bartending again. And so the app, unlike running it under a browser, we've really been really tuned with when we run it as an app to be much more productive. So it's more conformed to a small size of phone that would be. So we'll go ahead and add a line to this order. And we'll go ahead and for the inventory ID, we'll search for our Acer laptop we just had. We'll click search, we'll select it, and we'll add a quantity 1, we'll click done. So now we have the one line. We could add an additional line if we wanted to, and at this point we can save that transaction. And as we're saving it from the mobile app, it's actually writing it back up to the server. So we now have that new order that we just added to the system. And if we go back over to on my browser, we'll go over to one of my dashboards for our inventory control and our shipping department.
And then Tom will probably have to leave
our shipping inventory. And so the order that we just entered into the system is now going to be available for shipping. So we'll see under our orders to ship the order that we just entered in for that $500 that was entered today into the system. So we of course can, drill down on that, but it's really ready to be processed at this point. So we see the order that we had for the credit card, we have the order that we uploaded from the file, and we now have the third order that came in from our mobile app. So this is, one of the functions that I wanted to be able to talk to you about, that ability to enter or be mobile with Acumatica, because a large number of customers are now have their field sales force. They're out there. They need to interact with the system, and they're going to be on their phones. They may not even have a tablet now. They're on their phone, and that's where these mobile apps are going to play into it. So at that, I'd like to wrap things up and turn things back over to Dawn and Adrian.
Hey, Tom, thank you so much. That's a fantastic presentation. We do have a question here that applies to the screen
so Dawn,
that you're on.
Can, come off of mute right now, or Adrian, are there any questions about the product that we have a few minutes left before we have to wrap things up?
Tom, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I think the audience can hear me. Dawn, can you hear me?
Yes, I absolutely can.
Okay. I think that we're having a little bit of issues with Tom. I had to manipulate his microphone a little bit so that we could hear him earlier on. So I don't think he's hearing what I'm saying. So Dawn, if you could take these questions with me so we can wrap it up. We do have a question from Ken. Thank you so much, Ken. In your first order example, when it was complete, you could see the activity associated with it on the sales order screen. If you were in CRM view, would you see that same activity on the account or a specific contact?
You'd actually see it at the customer level.
Okay, perfect. And we have a question from David. So I have the source code and I have made changes in the C number to a screen. How is this supported or not by Acumatica?
Well, the actual change necessarily wouldn't be supported by Acumatica. You would be able to publish and unpublish that particular change. So if there was, let's say, a support issue, we could, in essence, unpublish it, check out the issue, and then turn it back on again to check it out, see if when we publish it, we're seeing the issue, or if we're unpublishing it, we're not. So we are still able to support you because we can literally toggle those customizations on and off to be able to help assist you in supporting your customer.
And I know that we are right at the hour here. We really appreciate everybody's time. I do have a poll up here on the screen. If you could take a moment to answer the poll. We do have one more question from David, and thank you, David, so much for your contribution here. Let me announce David's question. Also, are the reports all done in SSRS? What is used for management reporting? Microsoft Management Reporter or something else?
We actually use our own in-house report writers. We actually ship the product with two. We ship it with a financial report writer for P&Ls, balance sheets, statement of cash flows, and then we also ship the system with a report.
Uh-oh, Tom, I think we lost your audio.
So David, we'll definitely get back to you. Dawn, will you make sure that we get back to David with answering that question?
Sure,
we do ship it with the two report writers, and we can leave it at that since we're running out of time. But
and I do see that 40% of the audience has taken this poll. If we could get that up to 100, it would be so awesome. Thank you so much for your participation.
Yeah, we have to thank everybody for your time and attention, for your interest in learning more about Acumatica. Thank you for the great questions. And if you have any questions or would like to learn more about Acumatica, you can always reach me. It's djaeger@acumatica.com. So DJAEGER @acumatica.com. You can also go to our website and request information there. It'll go into our partner's email, which I'll receive as well. And phone number if you want it, 770-509-0640. Sorry, 770-509-0640. And again, thanks so much for your time. We look forward to hearing from you. And Adrian, thanks so much for hosting this. We really appreciate it too.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure. I'm going to leave this poll up here. I see it for 56% of you have voted. I know that people have to go, but we do have one last question from Ken. Will we be getting a recording of the session? And yes, you will. That recording and follow-up email will come from me, Adrian at erpvar.com, and I will include all of Dawn's contact information. And so you can reach out to Dawn. It makes it very easy for you to do so. And if you click on adding Acumatica Cloud ERP to your portfolio, she will know to prioritize the call back to you, any of these questions really. So I see that we have a fraction of the folks still on the line, Dawn, so just know that there's a lot of people who are interested in speaking with you.
Well, thank you, and thanks for taking the poll too. And if there are any questions for those of you that remain, we can stay a few more minutes and answer some questions now if you think they'd be of interest to the whole group too.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick around until we can get a little bit more of this poll answered, if everybody's okay with that. And if you have any questions along the way, we would love to announce them. I've got about 5 more minutes to stay on the line.
Well, and if there aren't, then we can just leave the poll open and invite people to contact us at their leisure too. But really appreciate the time today.
And we're at 71%.
Woohoo! Yay! Thank you all.
Will the dial move up?
Absolutely. And for those of you that are left too, of course, you can always go to acumatica.com. There's a tremendous amount of information there. For those of you that are interested more in the development aspects, you can go to ADN, like Acumatica Developer Network, adn.acumatica.com, and you can see a video on things like how we modify the system, and you can also download our complete developer guide from that site. And then if you go to YouTube and search on Acumatica, that'll bring you to the Acumatica channel, and there are plenty of very useful, short, recorded demos if you wanted to see something like lead to cash or operating on an iPhone or reporting or dashboards, things like that. We have nice short videos where you can become familiar with the product as well. And for those of you who really, really want to get your fingers into it, if you go to the AWS trial site, Acumatica will be the first solution listed out there, and there's a trial out there as well. So anything you need access to, just let us know. You'll find we're very open. We're very anxious to work with new partners that bring a lot to the table, and we'd love to hear from you. So with that, Adrian, what do you say? I think we're at 5 after the hour, 6 after the hour. Why don't we wrap it up? And again, thank everyone for their participation, and we really appreciate it.
And here's how that poll shaped out. I don't know if you could see this, Dawn, as a panelist, but it looks like we have quite a bit of interest from the audience, and we just thank you all again for your participation.